Hey everybody, Steve here at the very famous Bonaventure Cemetery in Savannah, Georgia, and it's the last week of April 2022. The city of Savannah and this cemetery have both been on my bucket list for decades, so it's a little hard to believe that I'm actually here. There's a tour company right across the street that gives tours of the cemetery, so I'm guessing this is a group of fellow grave hunters. Today I'm here to see one gravesite in particular. If you've seen the Clint Eastwood 1997 movie, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, then you know which gravesite I'm referring to. The very first scene in this movie is filmed right here at Bonaventure Cemetery, at the gravesite of legendary songwriter Johnny Mercer. According to the map that I just picked up at the Historical Society here at the front gate, his gravesite is located all the way at the back of the cemetery, which ends at the Wilmington River. So let's drive back there and see if we can find his gravesite. It seems to be in the same section where most of the notable graves are located. If you've seen the movie, then you might remember that K.D. Lang sings the very moody and haunting opening song, Skylark, which was written by Johnny Mercer, and the music was composed by Hoagy Carmichael. And if you haven't read the best-selling book or seen the movie, there's a good reason why it starts at Johnny Mercer's gravesite. The story is a crime drama about a wealthy, closeted gay man named Jim Williams, played by actor Kevin Spacey, who now lives in Johnny Mercer's former Savannah mansion. Following a late-night Christmas party at the Mercer Williams home, Jim Williams shoots and kills Billy Hanson, his paid male escort, played by actor Jude Law. Actor John Cusack plays writer and reporter John Kelso, who was invited to the party by Jim Williams and ends up investigating the story in order to write a book about it. The book and the movie are based on a true story about the murder of real-life male escort Danny Hansford by Jim Williams. And the real-life Danny Hansford is buried right next door to Bonaventure Cemetery at Greenwich Cemetery, and I'm going to visit his gravesite too. Johnny Mercer was born here in Savannah on November 18th, 1909, and died in Hollywood on June 25th, 1976, at the age of 66. And during that time, he was one of the most prolific songwriters in Hollywood history. He's credited with writing more than 1,500 songs, either writing or co-writing. Here's a cartoon image of him, which is kind of neat. Signature. The co-founder of Capitol Records, winner of 4 Academy Awards. Buddy, I'm a kind of poet, and I've got a lot of things to say. Look at this. Accentuate the positive. Remember that song? Autumn Leaves, Blues in the Night, Charade, Jeepers Creepers, Laura, Moon River, My Shining Hour, On the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. I bet most of those sound familiar to you if you're a baby boomer. Let's see what it says on this side. Oh, more song titles. Come Rain or Come Shine, The Days of Wine and Roses, Hooray for Hollywood. What does this say? In the cool, cool, cool of the evening. One for my baby, Skylark, Something's Gotta Give, That Old Black Magic. You must have been a beautiful baby. That's incredible, so many hit songs. Now where's his actual grave? Okay, here. And the angels sing. So I wonder if he wrote that about his wife. I'm going to head over now to the next filming location, which according to Google Maps is just about 4 miles west of here. It's the Mercer Williams estate where the murder took place. The home is just 1 block north of this historic and very iconic fountain located in Forsyth Park. And the fountain appears in the movie several times. Savannah is just as beautiful and historic as I thought it would be, maybe even more so. So it's nice that they've got it marked here, and they've got the tours that happen, I guess, pretty much every day. This property is enormous. I'll walk around back to the back and show you just how large it is and how much I mean, it takes up an entire block here. It's really beautiful. Visiting all of these filming locations is pretty surreal. It feels like I'm actually in the movie. The home is located here at 429 Bull Street, and there's a small park across the street called Monterey Square, and I'll pan around so you can see what it looks like. But what I find really interesting and a little bit bizarre about this location, and they didn't show it or mention it in the movie, but right across the street in the park is the gravesite and a monument to a very, very famous and historic member of the LGBTQ+ community. But I'll wait and share his story in a future video. For now, I just want to stay focused on this LGBTQ+ story. Here's a view of the site of the home just to give you an idea of how impressively large this home located in the heart of the city really is. As I mentioned earlier, the murder victim, Danny Hansford, was buried in the cemetery right next door to the Bonaventure cemetery. So let's head back there now. Hansford is buried at Greenwich Cemetery, and as you can see from the sign, the entrance is just to the left of Bonaventure Cemetery. This is Forest Lawn right next door to Bonaventure. So this is Bonaventure Cemetery, the Forest Lawn, and then Greenwich Cemetery is up the road a little bit, I think. And there's I think it's the Wilmington River. Now this just looks like a typical cemetery you would see in California. I wonder if these are the gates to Greenwich Cemetery. Yeah, you can just barely see the word Greenwich there, but there it is. And according to the GPS on his Find a Grave Memorial page, I should be able to find Hansford's grave by making this first left turn here and driving all the way back to where those trees are in the distance. In the movie, they changed his name to Billy Hansen, and they visited a fake headstone with Billy Hansen's name on it, and it appeared to be located in Bonaventure Cemetery. They also had a funeral for Jim Williams and showed his much larger and more impressive headstone, also located in Bonaventure Cemetery, but in real life he was buried at Ramah Baptist Church Cemetery in the town of Gordon, Georgia. In case you haven't seen the movie, I won't spoil the ending by telling you how and where he died. As I mentioned earlier, in the film, Hansford was played by actor Jude Law, but here's a picture of the real Danny Hansford. Reportedly, he was the most popular male escort in Savannah, Georgia at the time, with both men and women clients. Another central character in the film was female impersonator the Lady Chablis, who happened to be an acquaintance of Danny's. She was a big part of the movie, but I'll wait and share her story in a future video. It's been 41 years since Danny Hansford was shot and killed by Jim Williams, but it's nice to see that he's been remembered and that his gravesite is still being visited today. And in the words of another prominent character in the film, voodoo priestess Minerva, to understand the living, you got to communicate with the dead. But don't commune so long with the dead that you forget the living. I'd say that's pretty good advice for all grave hunters. So if you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it. But even if you haven't seen the movie, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And at least for me, I know this has been a very memorable visit to Savannah. So until our next road trip to the cemetery, thanks for sharing the memories, everybody.